the 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 birds are singing and everything's good. But anyway, I would like to present today about drawing in story listening. And there are things that I would like to convey to the teachers who would like to use story listening in their classroom. So these are the things to keep in mind when drawing illustrations when you tell a story. Okay, let's begin. Okay. Okay, these are the 12 things that I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing is drawing in story listening. Why do teachers draw when they do story listening? Why does a teacher expand one sentence? Oh yeah. Why does a teacher expand one sentence to such small sentences with simple meanings? Why is the content presented through sequential live drawing? In comprehension, empathy, draw face only, keep talking, draw quickly, how much to draw, what else besides drawing pictures on the board, and lastly, the purpose is to provide optimal input. So let's go to the number one. Drawing in story listening. I added some Japanese underneath in case some Japanese people or person might be watching this. But anyway, drawing is one of the tools the teacher uses when the teacher tells a story to language students. And so story listening is not just for enjoyment. We want to teach the language. And so when the students listen to us tell a story without any aids, most likely many of them don't understand. I might have said this before to the audience in my presentation before, but my husband, an American English teacher, who wanted to tell a story also, and then he memorized the story, and then he went into a classroom and told the story. But he told me later that his students went to sleep. And so, because the reason why they went to sleep was because they didn't understand and they became bored. So that's one of the reasons we draw, and that's only one tool, and there are lots of other things that we do while we tell a story, but drawing is quite important, and so we decided to talk about this subject today. Okay, in pictures, drawings are essential to aid comprehension for students learning a foreign language. Okay. Why does a teacher draw pictures while she or he tells a story? Why do we why do we draw? Why do I draw? It's to get the students' attention. When I draw a cat on the board, even a baby, 6 months old baby pays attention. When I change the picture to a pig, the baby pays attention. And so when something appears in front of your eyes on the board, on the paper, people, students or even the baby pays attention. So to get the listener's attention, we draw because we want the students to pay attention. Without their attention, nothing's going to happen. So we start drawing. Okay, number two. When students watch the teacher draw, it helps them understand what the teacher is saying in a foreign language. So if somebody says something in Spanish, I would not understand a word. But if the teacher draws a picture of a man and she says something, then I would just connect the sound and the picture and then and decide if she must be saying a man. And so it helps. Number three, it helps the listeners visualize the image more easily. And so I will explain about this more later, but when we see the picture, it's easy to visualize in our head or in our mind. It adds variety to the image the listeners create. And so I'll talk about that later. Use drawings to explain clearly. And so it makes it clear when, when I say neko in Japanese and draw a picture of a cat, and I say neko again, then the people who are watching probably think that I'm talking about a cat. Okay. So example, this is only an example. And so it is not that I am saying that people should do it this way. Think the way how story listening is done changes uh, changes every time by the teacher uh, for the students that the teacher is telling a story to. And so this is not I'm not saying this is the best way, but, and this is not the way how I might not always do, but this is only an example, okay? And if I were talking to I don't know, talking to seventh graders, junior high school, first year students, and the students don't know much about English. They might have heard about ice cream and curry rice and, some of the foreign words in English. They may not know much about English, but then if I was talking to them, I would say first, once upon a time means mukashi mukashi in Japanese. And so they will know how to understand when they hear a phrase, once upon a time, they will remember that it means, once upon a time in Japanese. And so the first thing I have to teach them is this: once upon a time means this in Japanese. And then if I want to tell a story of the three little pigs, I, I would not start, yeah. After that, don't start with the original sentence in the text. Once upon a time, there were three little pigs. In story listening, I suggest that teachers never start a sentence as the text is written at the beginning. Even when the text says, once upon a time, there were three little pigs, that's not the way how we start with the beginning level students. I start with just once upon a time, they already know what it is. And then I say, there was a pig. And then I draw a pig on the board and say, one pig, and write PIG on the board. Uh, and okay, and I draw a picture of a pig, and then I say one pig and write pig on the board, and then I write one and I show my finger one. Okay, so they would see the board and say they see the drawing pig, and then I say pig, and I say one, and I say one pig. Yeah, and then I'd say they may not understand this, but I say he had two brothers, and I'm hoping that the students will know what brother means, but I would say he had two brothers and draw two more pigs. And then I say two pigs and write two on the board and show two fingers, two. Then I say there were three pigs, yeah, and draw a big pig and say, Mama Pig, she is big. And I write down Mama Pig under the pig's picture, and then I write down big. And then I say the three pigs were little, not big. And then little, I write down little and not big at the same time, and make it comprehensible that little and not big are the same thing. and I'm hoping that students already know big, but then I already drew a picture of a big mama pig, and I'm showing the big mama pig and the smaller pig, which are little pigs. And then so there were three little pigs. And by this time, I'm hoping the students will know that I will be talking about a story called The Three Little Pigs, which they already know in their own language. So the first stories that I tell are usually the stories that they already know. Okay. So number 10. So what you say and draw all. Okay. So what you say and draw all depend on what the students already know. So I'm just hoping, I already know that the students already know the words like brother and mama and big type of thing. Okay. If they didn't know, we have to go um, uh, uh, to a different strategy to let them understand what big and small and mama and brothers. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So number 3, why does the story listening teacher expand one sentence to such small sentences with simple meanings? Okay, let me see. No, okay. Okay, so I just said I do not start with once upon a time there were three little pigs. I I I I start with a very small sentence like once upon a time there was a pig. Okay, so break a sentence down into meaningful elements. Simple sentences are used at first. Then simple meanings are combined and presented together in the original sentence at the end. So I hope you saw how it worked when I explained it with the example earlier. So for number 4, for foreign language students, it takes more time to visualize what they are hearing in a foreign language. So I think the students appreciate when it was explained this way, step by step, uh, and uh, uh, every time when they hear the foreign language, they understand what they're hearing, and so this is uh, uh, this is helpful. Number 5, and when I do this, yeah, also it adds variety to the image the listeners create. And so now I am creating a big pig and a small little pig, and I'm also adding brothers and mama and big and things like that besides the original sentence, besides the words that were used in the original sentence. So it adds variety to the image in the words the listeners image the listeners create. And so when just say once upon a time there were three little pigs, the mama pig does not appear in the image, but now in the picture of their students images, the mama pig appears in the story. Okay, so number 6, the teacher uses drawings at the same time while she speaks and helps students build meaning. And so, as I said, I write down, I draw a picture of a pig, and then I write down PIG, and then say pig. And I also write down number 1, and I say 1. So you write, you draw, and say at the same time, okay? About the same time. Number 4, okay, the reason why I'm saying these things, or I am presenting the explanation about why we draw, uh, uh, I would like the teachers who are going to use story listening to understand why we are doing this. And so I'm hoping that the teachers will not just draw pictures and just tell a story. I would like them to be uh, aware why it is a good idea to go this way. Because I have been trying this, I have tried this, and my students all liked it, and it seems to be it is helping. It helps. Okay, number 4. Why is the content presented through sequential live drawing rather than displaying it all at once like a picture book? Okay. Many people have asked me what's wrong about read alouds. Why don't I just, can I just show a page of a picture book and read the story? And slowly it can be done for the people who can get comprehensible, interesting input that way. But I see that my foreign language students in Japan uh, do better this way than just I read a picture book to them. Okay, even when I make different explanations. And so why do is the content presented through sequential live drawing rather than displaying it all at once like a picture book? It is to help them focus their attention on one thing at a time. I said this at somewhere else, but when you show a picture book and you tell a story, and then when the picture book has different items on a page, when it had a cat and a dog and a milk, a glass of milk, and a human being, and things like that. When you are talking about a cat, the students who are listening to you and watching the page might be paying attention to the human, or they might be, some of them might be paying attention to a dog. And therefore, if I'm talking about a cat, then I want the students to pay attention to the cat. And that's why I draw one at a time. Okay. Drawing for comprehension. Why do we draw? To help listeners understand what they are hearing. And I, I write the faces of the characters. When I draw a picture of a cat, I usually do not write everything, but only the faces, only the face. I also draw places where the characters live and go to. So if the a character lives in a castle, then I draw a picture of a castle. You know, once upon a time, there was a girl, and she was 16 years old, and she was very pretty, and she was very rich, and she was, if the person didn't know what the word princess was, then I might introduce king first. But anyway, I drew a picture of a castle, or I draw a picture of a little poor house, or I draw a picture of a hotel, you know, the local inn type of thing. And so places or the forests. And so we draw a picture of places. And I also draw pictures of the character's actions. If if the character is walking, uh, she left for the market, and then I draw a picture of a person figure, walking to the market. Okay, so actions, or running, or fell down, or crouching, or praying. Okay, not very many actions. You cannot draw everything. Okay, and also their emotions, happy, sad, surprised, type of thing. Okay, that's for comprehension. Another one is drawing to create. We draw to create empathy, to create interest in the characters and the story. You know, when you say, "Once upon a time there was a woman," she was very, very poor. She had 5 children, but because she was poor, she was sad. And then I changed the picture of a woman from the regular face to a sad face. Okay, so to create interest in the characters and the story, the teacher changes the expression of the characters depending on their emotions. So if the person is a very cunning person, then I draw a picture of a person who could be not very nice. Okay. So, and then to make it easier for the listener to visualize. Um, yeah. But there is no need to overdo it. A lot of teachers have said that I am not a very good artist. I cannot draw. But students are not expecting the teachers to be a cartoonist, artist. Students are not expecting the teacher to be a professional storyteller. They know that they are in school. They know that they are in a language classroom, and they know that the purpose is to learn the language. And so, when you draw and when you uh, give them help to understand what they should be understanding, they are, I think, happy, grateful. So these are just examples. As you can see, I drew these pictures with my finger. You know, this is my new computer, and they told me at the Apple store that I didn't need a mouse. I can just use, touch this the area with my fingers to move the uh, cursor, and so I do that. I did that with this with my finger, and so it didn't do very well. I can probably draw a little bit better, but this is as much as I could do. But anyway, the happy face, it's easy, just a happy face. It's a happy pig, and the happy pig became sad, and so you just change the eyebrows and the shape of the mouth, and that's all. The eyes and nose are the same. And if he's scared, then you just change the shape of a mouth. And when he is very happy, you just exaggerate the mouth to make it open and really happy. It's not that um, difficult. You can look up the emoji thing and then just practice a little bit, and then we can do this. Okay, number 7. And when we do story listening and when we draw, I've seen teachers draw everything, you know, from neck and the body and arms and the clothes and the legs and the shoes. And no, it takes too much time. Draw face only or body parts only. Story listening does not draw the whole body. A face only is enough. A whole body is only drawn when it is necessary for comprehension. So examples, when you are talking about ankle, you just draw a picture of a foot like this. And when you were talking about a barefoot, then you just draw a picture of a foot like this without socks or shoes. And you tell them this is barefoot. The tip of a finger, then you just draw a picture of a finger, and then you tell them this is the tip of a finger. This place is a tip. And then when you want to talk about no hair, bald, and then you just draw a man's face without any hair and say he had no hair, he was bald. Okay, another example. This really helps because sometimes even when you are reading a book, my students often said, I didn't understand who was saying what. I didn't understand whose words who said what. And so when I do a story listening, and when there are two people talking to each other, I always draw a picture of two people like this, and you know this person said, she said this, and he said this. Okay. Number 8, keep talking. Um, okay, don't stop talking. Keep talking so that the story doesn't break. This is the second one's quite important. Avoid turning your back on the students as much as possible while drawing. I've seen teachers, turn back or turn to the blackboard, and they start drawing, but it's taking so long to draw and then the students are just watching the teacher's back. That's not a good idea. I, it stops it breaks the story. It is good to keep the flow, to keep their focus and interest. So it is a good idea to practice, a little bit before you go into the classroom, how to draw. Okay, I I will maybe in the future talk about how to prepare for a story listening lesson. Um, just it's not just remember the storyline and go into the classroom and tell a story. And you might, people might think that because you're telling the story in the target language, you are giving a input, but it might become, or it will become incomprehensible input for most foreign language students. Okay, that's good. Okay, number 9, draw quickly. Again, because listeners get bored if you draw slowly, and listeners lose focus and interest when the story progresses slowly. Um, Even when you are telling the story with the short sentences and easy words, and even when, because we want the students to understand not every word in every sentence, but most of them, um, even when we do it that way carefully, but we shouldn't be doing it very, very uh, slowly. Okay, how much to draw? Draw only the changes as the story unfolds. And so, uh, when you are talking about the three little pigs, you might leave the faces of the three little pigs somewhere on the board. But then when the first little pig started walking, and when he met the first man who had lots of straws, and then you have the two people, pig and the first man who has lots of straw, and then as he says, may I have some straw or straws? May I have some straw? And then he gets a straw, and then he builds the straw house. And then, the big bad wolf comes and destroys the house. And then he runs to, you can make it, he may go back to his mother, Mama pig, you can do that. Or he could go to the pig who, uh, you don't want to do that because you haven't talked about the second pig yet. So he goes back to Mama pig. And then you can, if you don't have enough space on the blackboard, you can erase it, and you can start talking about the second little pig who began to walk and met the man who had lots of twigs. And um, so you draw only the changes as the story unfolds, and you don't, you can erase the thing that happened already before. And so you only draw pictures of characters, places, actions, facial expressions, etc. So examples, actions, he prayed, yeah, and he walked, and he crouched. 11. What else besides drawing pictures? So when we draw pictures, we don't just draw pictures, but we also write words that support understanding. I've already said when we say one, it's not a word, it's a number, but you can also write ONE, one, two, well, while we write, after we write number one. So write words and numbers that support understanding. Okay. The purpose of drawing and writing words on the board is to provide optimal input. Optimal input means the input includes the following four uh, ingredients or factors: comprehensible input, interesting input, rich input, and abundance input. And in the future presentations, I will probably talk more about what these things are in story listening. The reason why we do this is because the reason why we draw pictures is because we want to support comprehension. We want to add interest, to provide them with rich and abundant input, and to help visualize and to promote empathy. We want them to be surprised when a big bad wolf comes. We want them to be sad when the big bad wolf, no, we want them to be scared when the big bad wolf says, open the door, you know? And then he says, oh, no, no, you cannot come in. And then we want the students to be afraid. And then when the big bad wolf says, if you don't open the door, I will huff and I will puff and I will blow your house down. And then we want the students to be scared. And then when the big bad wolf goes, big bad wolf goes, uh, who I cannot remember, puff and huff and puff and huff. And then you want the students to be anticipating that the house is going to be blown down and things like that. We want the students to be feeling the anxiety and fear with the with the pig, or we want the students to be I don't know, be with the wolf. We don't know. Usually, I think the students will be with the little pig. So we want to promote empathy. The reason why we want to promote empathy is because it stays with memory. Okay, to help students understand the story by integrating their knowledge and experience. And so what we are doing is that everybody has had fear before. We have felt anxiety. We have felt somebody might have threatened. You know, we have had the experience of being threatened before. We have all sorts of different experiences, and we want that experience to be connected when they hear the story. That's why we use optimal input. To help students understand how a story unfolds. That's why we draw pictures one at a time, and as pictures change while we tell the story. Okay. Oops. This is all for today. Thank you. And these addresses, one of them, top one is my uh, uh, web page. The second one is a story listening web page. And the third one is my YouTube channel. Okay, I am ready for questions.